welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
What's up, guys? It's not Tony. It's not Barnes. Not Matt. It's me. I'm back. Geno time is back here on the Downtime TV airways. Happy to be back with you guys. It's been a while, Mike. It's been a while.
It's been too long.
Yes, Mike Theophil, our producer behind the scenes, but he's going to join me today, kind of fill in for as my, I guess, pseudo guest host. Or
yeah, dude. You know what this show is going to remind me of? If anybody ever out there listens to 98.7 ESPN Radio, it's going on right now. It's Dave Rothenberg and Ty, and it's just like literally the talent and the producer, and it's every Saturday.
Yep.
Go listen to that, and then listen to us.
And we're gonna be the same exact thing.
Yeah, no, I love
just
it.
Like better, like a little bit better.
Right. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about a lot of different things. Your typical Saturday morning show where we get to kind of, break down some of the different things we don't talk about. I'm a little bit different, as you guys know, than kind of everybody else. I follow some different sports and am, I guess, a little bit more into some other, atypical sports. So, we'll get some soccer in here. We'll get some Formula One in here. We will talk about the big sports when there are big stories. But today we are going to focus on college because it is a big college day. Look at this. We already have some betting going on here. Alabama +7.
Connor his name is Solo Locks, and on the Sports Port now he comes in and he gives his bets. So he will definitely be an avid Geno time listener, and I'm sure he's going to want to call in in future shows because I know.
Yeah, absolutely. Alabama +7. That's an interesting one. I'm pretty sure they're playing in a neutral site. We'll get into it all. That's a game I have to watch today, not one that I'm typically on today, or that I would be on today, just because Gonzaga, Alabama has been a little bit shaky recent. They lost to Iona. But again, we'll get into it all as we go on. But again, it's going to be college sports. We're going to talk college football, college basketball today.
Buddy, let's go.
I know. I'm so excited.
This is fire, dude.
Dude, the college basketball season is my favorite time of the year. UConn is good. UConn is good. We're not going to talk about them today. But their defense.
Book night, bro. They'd be number one in the nation.
They would be very good with book night. That is their one problem. The scoring is going to be the question mark for them. Defense, though, under Hurley has always been good. Right. He's such a good coach. I love him.
Oh, me too.
When he was at Rhode Island, he did such a good job over there. And I'm happy he went to UConn because, listen, I am from Jersey, but I did go to school in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I am rooting for UConn. But, it's been a crazy start to the college basketball season. I was going to bring some of this stuff up. We were talking about starting the show a couple weeks earlier. I had some stuff ready to go, but it's just continued. I thought it was just going to be a start of the season thing. We're starting to figure out some of these teams. A big thing for a lot of college basketball teams is they were able to bring back a lot of players. A lot of seniors came back, the COVID years. So we're starting to see some older college basketball teams, especially in some of these mid-major programs, which makes for a lot of fun. On Thursday alone, there were 4 top 25 teams that went down to unranked opponents, 6 upsets of the top 25 by unranked teams this week alone since last Saturday. Of course, Kansas went down, I think, last Friday. So, it's been a nuts season. We've already had Gonzaga play 3 of the top 10 teams in the country. They've won 2 of them, and then lost, of course, to
That's
Duke.
my boy on Gonzaga.
Which dude, Chet?
The freshman, Chet. Yeah, I've been following him since he was a young puck.
Dude, he's unbelievable. He's just so, he doesn't have to jump to block. He's always in a good defensive position. I watched a lot of Gonzaga naturally because they've been playing a lot of big games. And, typically they play, freaking Chicago State, who's the worst team in the country. And they're, and they play a couple good games, but I don't get to watch them too much recently. They've been playing some more of the top teams, and they've really looked really good. The Duke game, when you look at the Duke game, if you just look at the box score or do you just look at the score of the game, you think, oh, Duke played really well. There was a lot of, factors in that game that played into that one. Chet and Drew Timmy were both in foul trouble all game, along with, I think, a couple other players. Gonzaga had a lot of foul trouble in that game. Paolo Banchero did actually cramp up in midway through that game, which actually I think loud.
Yeah, dude, he's losing 8 pounds a game, 6 pounds a game.
Dude, he just doesn't look. Yeah, he's looking like he's having some trouble out there, and the cramping really showed up.
Did you see that article about him?
I did not see that article, but
dude, he literally loses 6 to 8 pounds per game, and he has a special drink that he has to drink that like to give him more fluid or whatever.
Yeah,
and this is never. Excuse me. This has never happened in his life before. He said he's never cramped up like this ever in his life.
That's crazy.
And by the way, with Chet, I'm worried about him being an AAU baby and being a big man for injuries in the future.
Well, I mean, listen, these big dudes, you see with, Kristaps and how he is hurt every other game. And, these bigger dudes have a lot of problems staying healthy because, you see it in every sport. Aaron Judge has problems staying healthy. Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah, Zion needs to hop on his diet is right. Yeah, Zion needs to lose a couple pounds. The Mavericks, they did lose to New Orleans last night, but they smoked them a couple nights before that. But
Zion's not playing right now, sadly. But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Again, sadly, Zion's not playing. He's had a lot of he's had a few injury issues too.
But that's another thing.
We'll talk about that at another time.
Yes.
No, but yeah, that's weird, man. That's crazy that he's losing 6 to 8 pounds every
game, dude.
Game. That's got to be hard to deal with, man. I can't imagine. I mean, you play college basketball for,
dude. I couldn't imagine having a severe cramp the whole game, and then on top of that, my body's not processing. I'm sweating the fluids that I'm taking in quicker than I am taking it in, which is ridiculous. It's almost like it reminds me. It's different because he had diabetes, but it kind of reminds me of Adam Morrison's like issues in college basketball.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really nuts what's kind of gone on with him. And but he's still in that game. He was dominant in the first half. He was a large part. I mean, yes, there were the Gonzaga, foul trouble problems, but he was a huge part of that Duke lead. And he's looked really good. I mean, the cramping has really been his Achilles heel, which is unfortunate because he has looked like the number one player in the class, which a lot of people have said he is. So
he's predicted to be the number one pick. So
yeah, him and Chet, I guess, are fighting it out from what I understand.
Chet, to be honest, if it were me, but
yeah, I would probably go Chet. I guess for me, the whole thing is we make these predictions. We don't know who the number one overall pick is going to be. And, in basketball, it's a little bit different than some other sports where needs aren't exactly, paramount to everything else. Where in the
teams are dumb, if you ask me. Like Houston,
yeah.
If this is just like a thing because they just the last class just got drafted. They're playing right now, so Jalen Green, they are 1-16 with him. Houston Rockets, he's been out the last 5 games. Guess what their record is?
I would bet it's better than 1-16 if you're talking.
They're on a 5-game winning streak. So they should have gone big. Mobley is this year's probably rookie of the year. He looks so good, dude.
And he's on Cleveland, right?
Cleveland, dude. And they're one of the
so
sneaky, yeah.
But you look at their team though, right? They still have Garland, right? We're getting
Garland's
an NBA talk,
dude, right now.
They've got Garland, they've got Sexton, they got Jared Allen in the trade last year, right?
Yep.
So I mean, they have a young core, like a really good young core.
But that's what I'm saying. They drafted well. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm a team that needs a big, I would get Chet. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
The guard, I'd go guard.
Exactly. That's what I think. Teams, like you said, teams don't do that a lot in the NBA. It's like, hey, like we need a guard, but we're going to. The Sixers did this for years, and and the Timberwolves. The Sixers and the Timberwolves are the two teams that stand out to me as the teams that did this so poorly. The Sixers drafted only bigs, and the Timberwolves drafted a point guard in like 6 straight drafts in the first round.
Right.
It's like
ridiculous.
It's, and none of them worked out. So, I think sometimes with some teams you go best available player, but when you have the number one overall pick and you're in a situation where it is a lottery, right? So sometimes you have the number one overall pick, but you weren't the worst team in the league. So you have pieces. So, like you said, in Cleveland's aspect, they drafted well and got the right players in. And they've been playing really well. So I think when it comes down to Chet and Paolo, I think it's going to be it should be a prospect of need, but we'll see how that plays out. But going back, I mean, again, we did talk about Gonzaga Duke. Duke did fall to Ohio State this week. Ohio State hasn't looked great all season, almost lost to Akron early in the season, but they do get this win here, a close one. I mean, it's just been a crazy start to the season. There's been so many of these upsets, so many, even in the lower ranks in the mid-majors, teams that you should not be beating. Sacred Heart beat a team that I can't remember who they beat. They beat LaSalle, who is in the A-10 and, should be a little bit better than them. And they beat them, in their non-conference schedule. And there's been a lot of these games where teams that should be performing or were expected to be performing better have been losing to some of these worst teams. And as John Rothstein calls them, bye games. There's been a lot of teams who are winning are losing bye games where to teams that they should be beating and really were supposed to be just, kind of practice games on their schedule. But the one team I want to talk about today, before we get into the good stuff, Mike, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You played college basketball, right?
Correct.
So did you guys ever play any D1 teams?
Yeah.
Okay.
We play, obviously, lower D1 teams.
Yeah.
And then the classes before us would play UConn, to be honest, every year.
Okay. And classes before you, did they ever score 29 points in a game? A full game?
I've never seen that, no, in my whole career.
So Arizona State,
like even children, like.
So Arizona State scored 29 points in a full game against another Pac-12 opponent.
What?
In Washington State. Now,
what?
Washington State, yes, 29 points in a full game. I think they had, and I'm going to check the stats.
What was their shooting percentage? Did they even get shots up, turnovers? What is this? What I need to hear.
I'm going to check. So the score was 51-29. And listen, Washington State is a good team. They're ranked in the top 50 defensively, but that's still no excuse. That's still no excuse at all. Just checking the box score here. Hold on. But I saw this score line. I mean, if you're a team in D1 basketball and you're scoring 29 points, you would.
You know how many D2, because, there's so many high D2 schools that, the only reason they're not D1 is because the rest of the school isn't, eligible to be.
Yeah.
Do you know how many players in the country are just laughing?
Dude, yes. Yeah. And
are you kidding me? These guys are playing this and I'm over here, type of mindset.
St. Thomas is in Minnesota. They just came up to D1 this year. They would score more than 29 points against Washington State. These are the stats from the game. 21% by Arizona State in field goal percentage, 11% from 3-point line, 25% from the free throw line. They only shot 8 free throws, but still, this game was 18-10 at the half. That is after 20 minutes of basketball. The team scored a combined 28 points. And then obviously Washington State pulled away a little bit, scored 33, while Arizona State scored 19 in the second half. I mean, arguably Arizona State should just not be in D1 anymore after that. That's a terrible. How does that even happen? Dude,
that's like the Memphis Grizzlies game the other night. Did you see that 79-point win?
I did see that. That was 70, but at least the other team scored a reasonable amount of points.
True. That is 20. That is one player on the team should just have that.
Yeah, I would wonder. I'm going to check the score too, or check the stats.
Imagine going in that locker room and being like the leading scorer and being like, "Man, you guys stink. I had 8."
No, there's a dude who had 12 points. A guard had 12 points.
Jesus.
But the rest of the team, this is the rest of the team. Kamani Lawrence had 6 points. He was the second leading scorer on the team. And then 4 players had 2 points. One player had 3 points, and the rest of the team did not score. And then on the Washington State side, they had a couple guys in double digits. One guy had 9 points. But again, I mean, listen, in college basketball, you see teams that play Virginia, they get 50 points all the time. I'm not saying Washington State's really good defensively, They're better offensively than they showed in that game. That was just clearly a bad game all around. But Arizona State scoring 29 points is awful. And we talk about Dan Hurley on one aspect and how good he's been for UConn, how good he's been for URI. Bobby Hurley, his brother, is the coach for Arizona State.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
It's not good. He has been awful for them. There's been a lot of talk about them moving on from him. Yes, that sound effect describes it perfectly. There's been a lot of talk about him, kind of being on the hot seat already before the season began. Yeah, kind of. Because they've had, I don't know if you know the point guard for Kansas, Remy Martin. He used to be on Arizona State, solid player, and has been pretty good for Kansas, I think, so far this season. But he was awful for Arizona State, transferred from Arizona State last year for this year. But I mean, they're 2-6 this season. They've lost games to their losses have come to Loyola Chicago, which is a good loss, Baylor, good loss, Syracuse, they've lost to. They lost to UC Riverside on a game-winning shot. I don't know if you saw that, Mike, but that was a pretty crazy game-winning shot from like the distance of the court. It was like
I did see that one. Yeah, that was crazy.
They lost to San Diego State. So they've lost to some teams that are below them. UC Riverside is a game they should not have lost. But they're in trouble, and 29 points is not good. I would probably fire the coach after a 29 point. If he's already on the hot seat, I would fire the coach.
Oh,
if you score,
do you know what would happen if I owned that school, or if I was the president or whatever? As soon as he got out of the game, went into the locker room, he'd get a phone call from me. I'd be like, "You don't have to come in today or tomorrow or ever again."
Literally, yeah. So enough with them. And it was, and another thing to point out before we continue, it was a home game for Arizona State, so that makes it even worse. So, but let's move on to the good. Well, actually, we have one more bad thing to talk about. Maryland and Mark Turgeon part ways. The only reason I bring this up, Mark Turgeon's been there for, I think, a decade. I do support Maryland, along with Texas. I'm a Texas football fan, so I, by default, support all their sports. But Maryland basketball, I've liked a lot of the players that they've had. Grievous Vasquez, you remember back in the day. Some of these, they've had some interesting teams, some good teams. But Mark Turgeon has had a tough start to the season. They just lost to Virginia Tech. They lost to Vermont. They've had tough games, like really close games against teams that they should not have been close. And they have a solid roster. So they part ways, which I think was a good decision. He's been a guy who's historically underperformed at Maryland. So they mutually agree to part ways. It'll be interesting to see who they get in. There's a lot of young college basketball coaches around, but it's a matter of whether they want to leave the job midseason. That's, I can't imagine it. I would imagine they probably go with an interim coach for the rest of this year, but we'll see. That's just some important news to touch on. As I mentioned before, Gonzaga taking on Alabama at 8 p.m. today. That is the big game of the day. Gonzaga again. Thankfully, we're going to get to watch this Gonzaga game at a reasonable hour, because this game, every other game that they've played in primetime, Texas, Duke, or not primetime, every big game that they played, Texas, Duke, and UCLA has all been at 10:30 at night. So it's impossible to stay up for these games. I stayed up for them, but normal people are not staying up for those games. So it's good that we're getting that. It's a semi-home game for Gonzaga. The game, I believe, is being played in Seattle. Alabama coming off a loss to they lost to Iona on Thanksgiving last week, but they beat Drake by 9 and then beat Miami by 32. So two decent wins there. Alabama has a couple couple big games coming up. They face Gonzaga tonight, and then they'll face Houston next week. This game, though, specifically, I don't know. Gonzaga, I think, is as Connor said, the spread, I think, is at 7. Gonzaga, though, I think that some people might be. This Gonzaga team is still really, really good. Drew Timme did not play as well, has not played as well in the last couple big games against UCLA and Duke, but against Texas. He showed why he is one of the best players in college basketball. I still think this Gonzaga team is better than Alabama by, I would imagine that they'll bounce back here. And I don't know. I can't see them losing or winning this game by less than 10. I feel like I just feel like they have a lot to prove again, right? After they beat UCLA by 20, they beat Texas by 12. And that game should have been by 20 as well, but Texas weathered the storm in the second half. And they lose to Duke by 3 points. They're better than the loss to Duke. They're better than the 9-point win at Tarleton State that they had on Monday. They've had all week to prepare for this game. Like I said, it's kind of a home game. I think Gonzaga comes out with the win. They still rank number 1 offensively. They're the number in adjusted offense, according to KenPom. In adjusted defensive efficiency, they're number 10 in the country. They like to keep it fast pace. I see Gonzaga coming out with a win here. I think it's probably going to be a 10, 12 point win. I think they're going to come out with something to prove again. This is really their last. Actually, no, they have Texas Tech before they get into their conference schedule. But other than that, not many non-conference games left on the schedule that are going to really cause them too much trouble once they do get into the WCC. The WCC has been very good this season. BYU, Santa Clara, San Francisco has been good. Who they'll play, St. Mary's. So there is a couple teams there that could give them some trouble in the WCC, unlike last year when they won every game by 10 plus points. But I think in this one, I think they're going to come out with something to prove. I think they're going to, work the ball inside. Alabama's 2-point percentage. They give up, I guess, about 50.5% inside the arc. That's going to be trouble because Gonzaga loves to work the ball inside. Gonzaga is going to hope to have some some good play from their wings. Bolton's got to have a good game. He's got to knock down some threes. Watson's got to be good. But I love Andrew Nembhard. I think he's been so good this season, and he loves when he can get. He's so strong inside for a guard. I think he's going to have a nice day there. It's going to be a matter of Alabama again, as is the case with every single team Gonzaga is going to play this season. It's going to be a matter of weathering the storm of the tempo of the game. Gonzaga is going to want to run on you. They're going to want to get out, and Nembhard loves to get out, and he's so quick at getting the ball out and getting it up the court, and their bigs run the court so well. Timmy's always down there. So it's going to be a tough game for Alabama, a team that has not performed too well inside the paint or inside the arc this season. So I think that's something to watch out for. They also have not shot their free throws well this season. 64% from the free throw line. That's a stat. When it comes to betting, I don't love to bet on teams that don't shoot the free throw well. So that's another thing that is going to worry me about this Alabama team. So don't shoot the free throws well. The 3-point percentage is about middle of the table in the country. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out, but I think Gonzaga is going to come out with something to prove, and I think that's what you got to watch out for in this one. A mid-major team to watch out for. I did mention them already. San Francisco has been really, really good this season. They've started off 8-0, I think, this season. They started off 8-0. They're up to 36 in KenPom rankings. They beat a UAB team that's very, very good, and I'll talk about in a little bit. They're ranked 50th in the country by KenPom. They beat Nevada. They've beaten Davidson, and they've taken care of business in their other games. Really been pretty solid all the way through. They rank in the top 50 in both adjusted offensive efficiency and adjusted defensive efficiency by KenPom. Just a really solid team, getting a lot of offensive rebounds. If you're looking at a team to watch, that might be a fun team to watch. This is the San Francisco team that upset Virginia last year. If you remember, Virginia coming off their, was it the championship or was it 2 years ago? But this is the San Francisco team that upset them. They've been a lot of fun to watch. So I keep an eye on them. When it comes to who the best team in the country is, though, I think it's not Gonzaga. I don't think it's Duke. I don't think it's Kansas. I think we have to keep an eye on Purdue. They have two of the best big men in the country, and it's what's his name, Edie, and I can't remember the other kid's name. And then Jaden Ivey has been fantastic for them. They've been really good all around. They had a tough game against Iowa last night, but I'm not really reading too much into that. When Gonzaga beat UCLA by 20, I said on Twitter that Purdue is the one team that came to mind that can match their intensity on both sides of the ball. Their big men are really, really good. They'll be able to control Chet, and they'll be able to control Drew Timme. And, they have a really good all-around team. So for me, the best team in the country right now is Purdue. I think they'll get the number one spot when the rankings come out this week. But we'll see how we'll see what happens with that. Underrated games of the day. Underrated games of the day. We got I'll just name a few games that you guys, if you can watch them, would be good to watch. Rhode Island at Providence is going to take place at 2 p.m. against it's going to be on CBS Sports. Those are two teams that I think are pretty evenly matched. Obviously, an in-state rivalry there as well. It'll be a fun game to watch. Providence coming off a win. They beat Wisconsin, I think, earlier in the season, and then they're coming off a win against, one second, got to bring it up here. Coming off a win against Texas Tech, which is a really good win for them. So I think it's going to be a really close battle there. Buffalo at St Bonaventure. St Bonaventure is coming off a loss, their first loss of the season. So they'll be ready to go in that game. And Buffalo has been pretty solid. Has been pretty solid all season. Couple losses to Stephen F. Austin and Michigan, but I think that'll be a fun game to watch. As I mentioned, Santa Clara has been really good. So Santa Clara versus La Tech is going to be a good game. That's taking place at 5 p.m. UAB, as I mentioned, another really good team. It's a mid-major to watch out for. They're at St. Louis, another A-10 team. If you couldn't tell, I love the A-10. So a lot of these games are A-10 games.
Oh, yeah.
I love the A-10. And then Colorado State at versus St. Mary's. That's a really good game between two teams that you don't. I mean, St. Mary's has been a team that you hear about. Colorado State has been really good this season and is up there, I think, in the top 50 in Ken Palm rankings as well. So that's a game you're going to want to watch out for. But let me just throw some, Mike, before we get to this call, let me just throw some good bets out there that I think we have for today.
Perfect.
I got the under 138.5 in the Wisconsin versus Marquette game. Both teams really good defensively. I think 138 is really, really high. I think they both rank within the top 20 in the defensive efficiency. So I'm going with the under there. BYU minus 1.5. Both teams in this game, BYU is taking on Missouri State. Both teams are missing a key player in this game, but and BYU is coming off a loss to Utah Valley. But Missouri State really hasn't been as good as I think everybody expected them to be. I got BYU minus 1.5. Loyola Chicago minus 3.5 against. Let me see. I forget who I put. DePaul. I think it's going to be a close game. DePaul has been better than I think I expected this season, but Loyola Chicago is very good, and they're they haven't lost a step really since Porter Moses, I think is the name of the coach that left there. Right now, Iowa State's at +6 against Creighton. I would wait. If it gets up to +7, I would take it. I think that's really high. I haven't found any news. There's no injuries or anything that would lead me to believe that Creighton should be favored by that much. So that's just another one to watch out for as well. So I hear we have a call. So Mike, if you want to bring him in.
Solo locks.
Oh, baby.
How we do?
Good. How are you?
First time meeting Geno. Geno is a Sportsport host, and now we have him doing his own show on Saturdays.
Perfect. So can I start with college basketball?
Yeah.
Yep, you got you got it.
I like Miami money line at home against Clemson.
All right. Yeah, I like that.
the best team Clemson's beat so far this year is Wofford or Temple. I'd say it's Wofford. Miami's coming off a 5-point win against Penn State. They got killed by Alabama, beat a decent North Texas team, and then got killed by Dayton. But they've also played like Canisius, UCF, and the FAU. So, I mean, everyone they played is pretty good. So I'd say, even though if you look at the offensive defensive rating, like Miami doesn't have the better ratings in each, but
Yeah.
Clemson's just lost by 10 to a shitty Rutgers squad. So give me that as my first pick. I like Marquette +7 against Wisconsin. I just don't like betting against the Big East teams. I think it's them in the Big Ten, but I think 7's a lot of points. It's gonna be a high, fast-paced game, but I don't know. I think Marquette's gonna keep it within 7.
Yeah, that was a game that I looked at too. I'm just like on the fence there. Wisconsin, I guess, has been playing a little well, but I love the Marquette pick. That was a game I was looking at as well.
Yeah, that's definitely one to keep an eye on. I'm gonna take Rhode Island +4.5 against Providence. I lost a bet recently. I think I bet on Texas Tech against Providence, but I'm going back to the well with Rhode Island. I like this squad a lot. So give me them +4.5, maybe by a half point get the 5 in it. And then I will take UConn -26 against Grambling State. Pretty awful team in the SWAC. Syracuse +7 against Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a big number for a
Yeah.
ACC rivalry game. And last but not least, give me Alabama +10 against Gonzaga.
Oh,
All right. There we go. I love it. I love it. Those are great picks. I like I said, I have the big time games like Alabama, Gonzaga, I don't typically bet on just because I feel like they can go either way. But I like the picks. I like the picks. I like them a lot.
Appreciate it. So I'm 12-3 in my last 15 NHL. So I can give out a couple of those.
no NHL today. This is just college sports today.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, Solo. We're on a time limit today.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I already texted in the chat, but you guys saw Alabama +7.
Yeah.
I tweeted that. I said I'll do Saban +7 with a roster of high school players against any team in the nation.
Yeah.
I think he's that good of a coach.
Brian Barnaby, you know him, Solo, host of Sportsport, just commented, Alabama. First of all, he said, "What up, fam?" Solo. And then he said, Alabama lock of the century.
Yeah, and I got to admit, Solo, I did not. I thought you were talking about the Alabama Gonzaga game, so that's what I was.
Yeah.
I forgot Alabama's also playing college football today, even though I have it on the rundown here. So I like that. I think it's going to be a close game. I think
Iona beat Alabama, and I thought you were talking about football. I'm like, am I drunk? Like, when did I miss that?
No, yeah. No, yeah, I thought you were talking about college basketball.
Helmet on or something?
Yeah, Solo. Saturday is going to be a lot of college sports, a lot of Formula One, and a lot of the off-brand sports that we don't really cover on during the week on Sportsport.
Yeah. All right. Well, NHL. I guess I'll just do it another time. It's all good.
We got it Monday.
Can I do college football then? That's college.
Yeah, go through it real quick, because we got to close out the show.
Got it. First off, I'm taking OK State -7. This team's defense is really solid. Top 40 in rushing and passing defense. Give me that for sure. I'm gonna take, like I said, Alabama +7. I'm gonna take Houston +10.5 because it's a lot of points. I'm gonna take Wake Forest +3.5 against Pitt. It's gonna be a high scoring game. I think they keep it within a field goal. I'm gonna take 12.5 with Michigan against Iowa. Iowa stinks. They're not very good. And then I'm just gonna stay away from USC Cal.
All right. Love it.
Love it, dude.
What's your guys' favorite college football pick today?
I honestly haven't looked. I'm not too big on college football, so I haven't really looked on in terms of like betting on it. So I haven't really looked into the betting too much on there. I kind of just watch the big games, honestly. It's not I don't know.
Sure,
I'm not huge on it.
I'll go with Barnes with Alabama. Lock of the century.
Boom, boom. So what was your lock for college then? I was listening to a little bit of it, but
yeah, I had the under in the Wisconsin Marquette game. I think that both teams play really good defenses. Really good defense. I had BYU -1.5. Both teams have a player out, but I think BYU's better than Missouri State by more than 1.5. And then Loyola Chicago over God, I literally forgot. Oh, DePaul. It's only 3.5. Yeah. So I don't really see why that's only 3.5. So those were the three that I had there. Iowa State, for some reason, in college basketball is +6 against Creighton. The money, it started at like 4 and it's gone up to +6. So I haven't found any injury news or anything that would lead me to believe that should have happened. So if it goes up a little higher, I would take it, but I'm +6. I'm still kind of on the fence.
Yeah. Did you see Memphis is favored only by 1 point against Ole Miss?
Yeah, I saw that, but Memphis has been so bad recently. So I guess, I don't know. I guess maybe they're leaning into that. Amani Bates has not been the guy everybody expected him to be.
Yeah, Vegas thinks that Memphis is going to have a huge bounce back game here.
Yeah, that's a good thing to point out. I mean, I don't think Ole Miss is that good, so I'm surprised too. But maybe that's what they're figuring with the with just Memphis being so bad recently.
Yeah, good point.
All right, Solo. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Yep, have a good one, guys.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, thank you for joining us, Solo. We appreciate it. I see his locks all the time on Twitter. So if you want them, he's been pretty money from what I've seen, I think. So and as he said, he's been pretty money on NHL. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Yep. We're gonna wrap up real quick. I just want to do one quick thing before we wrap up. We did talk a little college football. I wanted to get in a little bit more of this, but we ran out of time. The only way that this doesn't shape up as the top 4, in my opinion, I think there's a couple ways where the top 4 that currently are standing in the college football playoffs don't make it in. Cincinnati has to win big against Houston today, I think, especially if Oklahoma State beats Baylor. That's going to be two things to watch out for. I think also Oklahoma State can get in if Alabama loses by a lot to Georgia. But as we mentioned, I think it's going to be a close game. So those are the 2 things to watch out for. I think Georgia and Michigan are locks no matter what happens. Well, I guess if Michigan loses, but I can't see them losing. Georgia's a lock whether they win or lose. And then I guess Alabama and Cincinnati. Cincinnati, of course, sitting right on that brink there. I wouldn't be surprised if a Big 12 team jumped them, even if they win. But hopefully for the lower squads, we get Cincinnati in there, even though it probably won't be a good game against Georgia. All right, that's all we got, Mike.
I love it.
I am happy to be back. I'm happy to be back. Happy to be joining you. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate Solo coming on and giving us some of his picks. Saw Barnes in the chat. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Miss you guys.
He's in North Carolina today.
Oh, baby. Wow. Must be nice.
No, it's 75 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, I bet he's playing golf too, isn't he?
Probably he's definitely going to.
All right. Well,
but yeah, guys, next week will be a more, I feel like we'll cover more range of topics, right, Geno?
Yeah. And we'll be able to, I just had something, I got something going on today. So that's why we weren't able to get into more depth, and wasn't really much soccer talk today. Game's kind of boring today. I know Chelsea lost today, but in the Formula One, we might have more to talk about next week, just because I think next week's the last race of the season. So
epic. Let's go. We'll make it an F1, special.
Yeah. We'll get into it because it should be.
Tony's brother loves it, so
I know.
He'll be a fucking watcher of this show.
Yes, I know. I love it too. It should be good. I can't imagine the championship gets locked up this week, so it should go down to the final week, which I'm really excited about. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch. But stay tuned for all that stuff. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit different than the midweek stuff. We cover a lot of major sports midweek. If there is a big story, we will cover it for major sports on Saturday, especially if it breaks on, say, a Friday night or something like that.
Yep.
But mainly the lesser sports, because that's what I like. So hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. Mike, I love you. Thanks for coming on. Talk to you guys next week.
Talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.